The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Friends in Recovery podcast, the podcast that is here to help you, a loved one, or a friend get started down the road to recovery. This is the Friends in Recovery podcast, brought to you by the Genesis House. Genesis House, providing a safe, nurturing environment to heal from addiction since 1992. Please, be a friend and share our message with a friend on Podbean, iTunes, iHeartRadio, or YouTube. And now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey everybody, welcome to Friends in Recovery podcast, and we're podcasting live from Studio 21 in Salem, New Hampshire. And what a wonderful place this is. This is a little bit of podcast heaven, I think.
Yes, it is. We're blessed.
Yep, we have the producer extraordinaire, Ed Sullivan.
What's up, Ed?
I am here. I'm present and accounted for.
You certainly are.
Well, that's about it.
It's good to be back. Ed?
Mike?
Brendan?
How you doing? How's everybody?
Everybody good?
How you doing? Thank you for having me here today.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Brendan's our guest. It's our guest today.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks.
And Mike and I were just sitting here talking. We're going to do a show. What are we going to do it on? I went downstairs to go grab a cigar. And Brendan was sitting there, and I said, "You're coming on the podcast, dude." He's like, "All right, I'm going on. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I'm going on."
Don't turn anything down.
That's right. That's right. In recovery, we always like to, you never turn things down.
Right. Before we get started, I'd just like to thank Taylor and everybody down at Genesis House, Skylar, everybody.
Thank you, Taylor.
Make this happen.
Genesis House is a great facility. We all know that. We, they help people. We know personally that they help people, and we've been doing it for 27 years, Mike.
Sure. I have a friend of 20 years or so. Great guy. He's down there right now. He's going into his third week, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And he contacted me and basically said, I saved his life. I said, well, there was me and Ed and everybody working with you down there.
Yeah.
And you know the beauty for me of recovery and seeing people like this. This kid was in dire straits. He's not a kid. He's 58 years old. But he has a family, he has children, and he just couldn't get away from it. And I really believe we did save his life.
Yeah. Well, now he's on his own doing it. He's, it's his path now, And if anybody wants to get a hold of Genesis House, the number is 800-737-0933, and that's directly to the facility. So you can ask for Kim or Taylor. And I know alumni watch this, and, if they have anybody that knows anybody, get them that number at 800-737-0933. I want to just give a quick shout out to Skylar doing our alumni meetings. We have an alumni meeting in Florida. We have an alumni meeting in New Jersey, which I attended a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And we have an alumni meeting here in Massachusetts.
You also attended that, didn't you?
I did not. No. Actually, that last one got canceled.
Oh, did it?
Because of the snow.
Oh, okay. That's right.
So that was a while ago. But I really want to encourage the alumni to get out to these meetings.
Sure.
I know it's on a weeknight or whatever. Right. But listen, it's another meeting. You know what I mean? It's another meeting, and you're part of something that kind of puts you on the right path. And, we can use the support as far as all that goes. But if you do want to figure out where the next alumni meeting is, give Skylar a call or call the 800 number. And no matter what area you're in, we'll give you the Skylar will give you the information on the alumni. So,
sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's talk to Brendan.
One thing I'd like to bring up about, I have some friends that can't make meetings. Mm-hmm. These podcasts are fantastic. You can listen to them anywhere. You can be in an airport. Absolutely. You could be at work.
Yeah. So true.
These podcasts, I think, are the next,
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's to really help people. Certainly. And I've talked to a lot of friends at meetings and saying, hey, you can't make it to something, or you're feeling you got to go to a a during the day. You can turn in a podcast, and it helps.
Yeah. Right. We were talking a couple days ago. I think it was with another group of people I know in New Jersey that. Things change. Life changes. Everything changes. AA changes. Recovery changes.
Does.
So going to meetings isn't getting into your car and getting to a big book study or a meeting that you have to go sit with everybody. Right. Some people might be rural where they can't get out. Some people might lose their license. We all have this in front of us, a phone. You know, you can turn this podcast on and have a meeting. Absolutely. You know, and it's a different world, and it's a changing world. Everybody has a phone. Everybody is connected to social media somehow, and boom, you can have a meeting. You know,
you think you're having a rough day? Turn on the podcast.
Absolutely. That's especially Friends in Recovery
Friends
podcast.
in Recovery podcast. Absolutely.
There you go.
Selfless plug. So, guys, we had a couple topics that we want to talk about today. I think we were talking about drunk dreams, the steps, the typical AA stuff. I mean, it's kind of an open forum here, we were really getting into the drunk dreams before, and
we were talking about that the other day. I used to have a lot of them when I first got into recovery. I had a lot of dreams, and like most, probably I woke up. I was like, "Oh God, what did I just do? I threw everything away. I threw everything away." And you walk around for 5 minutes, and whoa, I'm good. I didn't drink. It's another day of not drinking, and a lot of the people I talked to in AA have had these dreams. I thought I was the first one, and I really thought I was back out there. But the more I talk to people in recovery and in AA, I realize how many of us have those dreams. I had my first one in like a year and a half. We were talking about it. Yeah. And my brother-in-law just beat the shit out of me. Like I was at a bar, boom, boom, boom. I woke up, and believe it or not, I actually called him, and I'm like, I had a dream last night. I was drinking, and you were there, and you beat the heck out of me. But we all have those dreams. We all get back to it.
Especially in early recovery, I remember having them a lot, and I remember hearing about them a lot too. And just to let you guys know, and I'm pretty proud of this. 2 Sundays ago, on the 10th of March, I celebrated 25 years.
Wow! Congratulations!
And, thank you. And I do it just like everybody else, just like you guys do it one day at a time. Doesn't matter if you have 1 day, 10 days, 15 years. We all do it a day at a time. But it's a good milestone to.
It certainly is.
Not a Mike milestone, but a milestone.
I think they're all important.
Yeah, they are
all important.
Yep.
25 days, 25
25
years.
minutes,
25 minutes.
The most important is 24 hours because, the phrase 1 day at a time, or whatever you want to call it, when I first came in, you're talking about drunk dreams, all the chemicals in our brains that we've been destroying over the years with booze and drugs, they start coming, it rejuvenates. And that's where these dreams come from, you know? And I think we want to stay sober after we get sober for a while. I know I did anyway. And I didn't want to let go of it. I didn't want to lose it because all of a sudden, all the fears I had about getting away from booze and drugs, and I was away from it, all of a sudden I realized, geez, I've never felt this good. I never realized what a beautiful, morning, whatever, May 3rd was when you woke up and you looked out. I was always looking down, always anxious, depressed, worried.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important. Yeah. But we were talking about the steps.
I
really like what you said earlier, Ed, about the... About, what was it, step 3?
Step 3, yeah. I went to a great step meeting with a friend of mine. Obviously, he's in recovery, so I won't mention his name, but he knows who I am, and I know who he is. But he took me to a men's step, like a big book step study.
Yep.
And he just sent me some literature, some information, and I have it. And I had no idea, and he had no idea either. But the steps are throughout the whole big book, and you and I, Brendan, were talking before. The big book was written first, and then they were pulled out of I believe they were pulled out of the big book to make the
12 steps.
To make the 12 steps, yeah. So I didn't even realize that because whenever we go to meetings, I mean, I don't know if it's up here, but I know back at home in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, we always read the preamble, how it works. Rarely have we seen a person blah blah blah. I don't know if you guys read that up here, but but that's
it usually starts the meeting.
Exactly.
Preamble,
exactly.
Beginning of our meeting.
And so step 3 is huge. I mean, it's the beginning of the work, basically.
Right.
You know, it's committing to the work after you do steps 1, 2, and 3. This is what I learned. This is what I learned after. Listen, 25 years, I'm still learning shit. I don't give a fuck, man. I'm gonna still learn. You know,
every day.
It's kind of the gateway into the rest of the steps where you start to put everything into action. Basically, that's what's a gateway.
The action
to.
Step. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, step 3, turning power over to God.
Yeah.
Like I love this. I have a story to go with this if you guys don't mind.
Go ahead. Yeah. Ed will cut you off.
Ed will. So, step 3, I tell this at my step meetings, and the people love it. I see a big smile on people's faces. I was in California, and I managed to put together about 3 months. And I was out at a sales junket where our sales reps and whatever will buy you it's open bar, it's whatever you want. I put together 3 months, and we're going golfing, and it's me and a sales manager, and he whatever you want, and it's just us two when no one's there yet. And I'm like, I've given up. I'm sitting there going, oh God, you're done. Like you did 3 months. How are you going to piss this away?
Yeah.
So we go golfing, and we get paired up with 2 young guys, younger looking guys, scruffy guys, 20s, mid-20s, and we get to like the 4th hole, and I can see the drink cart coming, and we're stuck.
Oh, no.
We're stuck. And I, just me being me, make up something to say to the guys, hey, what do you do for work?
Yeah.
And they said, well, we run a 12-step house down the street. And I'm sitting there going, whoa, what do you mean? What do you mean you run a 12-step house?
I'm going to sit on your lap, pal, in the next 18 holes.
And I go, how did you get into, how are you into this? And they said, well, personal experience. We did this. And I go, guys, I strung together 3 months. I have I'm weak right now. I'm weak. And hey, we got you. You're with us.
Cool.
I walked off the 18th hole without a drink.
Yeah. Right.
And that was that was God. Yeah. The weight of the world off my shoulders. Yeah. That was God looking down and saying, hey, I got you. Put your power in my hands.
That's it. That was step 3 right there.
Never, ever look back. After that, I never looked back. Right. I never.
That's right.
But that was, and God does, the world works like that. When you're in AA, you'll see a lot of things like that. Or when you're in recovery, you
get those signs.
You get a sign from God. That was a sign. That was
Sure. There was a saying in the 80s. Nancy Reagan was saying, "Just say no." Just say no. And it sounds like corny or cliches, but I never knew how to say no. I never said no. That's why. And I can remember going somewhere. It was a banquet, a police banquet, and everybody was getting drinks, and the waitress came around, and everyone's ordering beers or whatever. And I was a short time sober, and I'm like, oh, geez, and you get that uneasy feeling, And I said, I'll have a cranberry and soda. She goes, a cranberry and soda? Did you want vodka in that? And I'm like, oh, Jesus, no. Point a finger. Everyone just stop pointing at me.
There's the drug. There's the drug.
Right. And the guy next to me says the same thing. He says, I'll have what he's having. Yeah, I want one of those too. And I just looked at him like, not a lot of people drinking these back in the 80s. And I said, are you in recovery? And he goes, yeah, actually I am. He was like 8 years sober.
Wow. There it is.
And it's
That's the sign.
My biggest, and from that night on, it just seemed like the curse was lifted. I didn't think about drinking. I can honestly say I've been sober a long time. I don't think about it. I don't entertain it. I don't get tempted. I'm very fortunate, but I just don't. I just know it's not an option, But I only know that because I went to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of meetings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you had a sponsor. You dealt with sponsees. You did everything you had to do,
While we're talking about step 3, just real quick, I won this small step book at a meeting with him. It's a pocket size, about a little bigger than this.
First,
it's a blue one,
165 pages.
Right. And I used to keep it in my car, and I used to get panic attacks and anxiety. I mean, really bad ones. I couldn't drive. I couldn't eat. I couldn't be in a market. I'd leave restaurants. It was just horrible, and it was like the impending doom, the unknown fears. I was afraid something was going to happen. I didn't know what. I was afraid to go to sleep at night. Didn't think I'd wake up, and it was awful. And I was like 3-4 months sober, and it was just always, just petrified, But the bottom line is, I win this step book. And the guy who gives it to me says to me, I said, Jesus, this is good. I'm going to be looking at it. And I said, I get these panic attacks, and maybe I should read it. He said, buddy, read steps 1, 2, and 3 every day. It takes about 15 minutes. Well, it took me 17 minutes. But I read steps 1, 2, and 3, 4 times a day. Some days I'd just take a break and I'd read it. And I'm telling you that those 3 chapters, put me in the right place where I needed to be. It made me realize why I was there, what I was doing there, and what I was going to get out of being there. And I was getting small increments. I was getting better, feeling better emotionally, physically. You know the whole bit. So
well, and me, Mike and I, we were having this conversation before. You know, I have a lot of anxiety, and you know the whole 9 yards, and you know, me and Mike we don't hide this. We pray every morning, and we're always on our knees.
Get on your knees every morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
And every night.
Yep. So I told this gentleman who I was just talking to you about, who took me to his step meeting. He said, "Well, how do you pray?" I'm like, "Oh, how the fuck does everybody else pray? You ask for all kinds of shit, right?" He goes, "No, that's not how you pray." He said, "You're taking the weight of the world on. You're asking for this. You're asking for your kids to be here. You're asking for this." He says, "You can't play God." He said, "Get on your knees and just read the 3rd step prayer. And then whatever happens, it's up to God from there. Because you're not God. You don't play God." And when he told me that, the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders because I don't have to worry about, you know, are my kids okay? You know, I put it all into God's hands. I turn it over to God. And my prayer is very short in the morning now, and it's all on God. So if something disappoints me or something doesn't go right or whatever the case may be, it's not me. You know, I can't control any of that. And I never could control any of that, you know. And after he got done telling me that, and he also said, "I need you to meditate for 1 minute in the morning." I'm like, 1 minute? He goes, "Yeah, just close your eyes, and if you think of something, just focus on your breath." And I said, "That's hard." I mean, did you ever try to meditate? I mean, I never meditate, but
I have like ADD and like the meditation.
I know. I know
what's going on.
So I said, "Brian," I said, "I can't for a minute. I can't sit still. I mean, look at us up here. I'm looking at the time, right? Let's get the fuck out of here. It's almost done, right?" But
whoa, it's my first show. Let me give me some of that air time.
This is gonna be a 3-hour show, guys. He's got a store to promote.
Yeah, we haven't even got to that yet. Jesus.
But no, you know, the minute took. It seemed like an hour the first time I did it. And then this was just a couple of days ago. You know, listen, I got 25 years, but I still want to learn whatever. You know, I got to keep learning. Absolutely. So I did 2 minutes this morning, and it seemed like 2 hours. It really did. But I set the timer on my phone, and I just concentrated my breath, and it just lifts everything off of you. You know, he said it's going to, and I didn't believe him, but it does, man. Between that 3rd step prayer, turning it all over to God, and just letting, you know, just don't pray for things that you want or need. Just say the 3rd step prayer, and then you're done. It lifts it lifts everything off. So anybody listening that's new, you know, don't wait 25 years to figure this shit out, man. You know, a lot of years of anxiety.
When I get off my knees in the morning, right before I get up, and I'm only down there for 10 seconds, I just ask, help me get through the day without a drink, drug, cigarette. I used to smoke cigarettes. I don't say nothing about cigars, but I haven't asked for help with them. I don't think I need it. But before I get up, I say, "Your will, not mine, be done." And I say it really fast because sometimes I really don't want my higher power's will to be done, because sometimes it's not what I want. You know, I want something. I want a different path. I don't want to go down this path, you know. But I do say it. And I got to honestly say, when the car won't start, when the shovel breaks, when things that used to make me completely crazy happen, I go, well, that's his will, her will, or whoever's in charge up there. And, you know, I can handle it a lot better. So it's almost like a gift. It's almost like having a tool in your pocket, you know, just like a day at a time. I have a younger daughter. She's very anxious, hardworking girl. All my kids are hardworking, wonderful children, and blessed. She works 3 different jobs, and she's just a great kid. But she's always worried about the future, worried about money, worried about 3 months from now. So I try to get her to stay in the day. And one day she said to me, "Dad, this really works." I told myself today, I'm just going to think about today. So every time I started worrying about the future, I brought it back in today. And, "Dad, this really works." I said, "Yeah, it really does." It took me a long time to figure that out. But there's so many tools in this program that if you pay attention, and if you at least try it, at least give it a shot, it makes recovery a lot easier.
Exactly.
You agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, and what we're talking about here is step 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. And that's in chapter 5, how it works, page 58 to 64. The person who I was talking to you about, he sent me all the steps where they're at.
That's the big book.
It's in the big book.
That's in the big book.
Yeah, it's in the big book.
Brendan knows. He's been around.
Oh yeah. But
still got a long way to go.
Oh yeah, we
one day at a time.
That's right.
One day at a time.
We're no different than that newcomer, man. I love once in a while. I love going to beginners meetings.
Yep.
Beginners meetings are great because it brings you back to, I used to sit there and say, oh my God, what the fuck? I got to listen to this guy. Shut up and listen, man. Right. Beginners meetings for us who have some time is a great place to take the cotton out of your mouth, and cotton out of your ears and shove it in your mouth and listen to what the newcomers have. Because, just like us old timers, those newcomers have a lot of good information, for us to keep our minds green. Right. Am I correct?
One of my sponsors, my sponsor tells me, like, those newcomer meetings, if you go, you're doing 12-step. That's your 12-step work right there.
Right there. Beautiful.
Like, people are walking in, and maybe I said, I was naive at the point and said, I don't need it. I'm doing great. And he's going, but listen, you selfish asshole. This isn't about you.
Help someone else.
This is about someone else walking through that door for the first time, and maybe you know them, maybe you don't. But you can help them walking through the door just being there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it does help. I think it helps a lot. Just still going to meetings and seeing a newcomer. Yeah. And you can learn a lot from them. And maybe you forgot something, like, oh, Jesus, I'm not doing that bad because I forgot. I used to worry about that all the time, and now I'm
Exactly. Yeah, the beginners meetings are great, and that's the big book, third step study meeting was amazing. And so we're out to dinner, and he's like, "You want to go to me?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm trying to I got to change my hotel room. It stinks like shit in it. Make up all kinds of fucking excuses." And he goes, "Eddie, get the fuck in my car and let's go." I'm like, "All right." So now, like I said, I can't even sit here for 10 minutes. But then we get there, and he's driving like a maniac up, and we get there, and he goes, "I forgot to tell you, it's an hour and a half meeting." I'm like, "You motherfucker, man! An hour and a half. It was the best meeting I've been to in a long time, man.
Not like you needed it or anything."
Yeah, exactly. So,
but it's good to go out there and get back to where the beginning.
Absolutely. It is. Yeah.
I have a therapy business, as everyone knows, Therapy Services, Chelmsford, Mass. My cell phone number is 978-746-1717. And I don't give that out because I'm looking for business, because I really am not looking for business. I'm packed. But I give that out because if anyone's out there sick or suffering and you need to talk to somebody or need some direction or guidance or information, 978-746-1717. Therapy Services, Mike Miles. But this is what I want to say is...
Podfather.
The Podfather, yes. Whenever, yes, Mr. Ring. But whenever... I have people that come in, they're newcomers. They're just starting out. Fathers bring their sons or their daughters or whatever. But when I get them in and we start talking and I ask them, have you ever been to a meeting? And like you said earlier, times are changing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been going to meetings for over 30 years, and AA's changed. Used to be able to smoke in AA. Used to be able to do a lot of things. Yeah. But when I have a newcomer, someone's brand new, and they said, no, I've never been to a meeting. My meeting, my group, my home group, is a Sunday night meeting, starts at 7, ends at 8. And it's called the Neshoba Group. I've been going there for 33 years. And I got to tell you, I take more newcomers on Sunday nights, whether there's a football game, baseball game, it doesn't matter. The meeting's there 365.
Yeah.
So I take newcomers to meetings on Sunday nights. And what you just said, Brendan, is so true, because I walk in, they meet the greeter at the door, they're selling raffle tickets. It's a huge hall. There's probably about 80 people, 100 people every meeting. It's always packed. Coffee, refreshments on the left, and folding chairs. We sit down, and I always can sense what they're doing. They're looking around, and I know some of these younger guys are going, oh, there's a lot of old people in here. Because that's what I did when I was 32, I don't belong here. I think I'm in the wrong place.
There's fucking dinosaurs.
But elder statesmen.
But what Brendan said is so true, because what I get out of it, and I don't speak. I mean, if the commitment doesn't show up and they're looking for speakers and someone asks me, I will ask. But I never volunteer anymore. I spoke enough. But if someone asks me, I figure that's my higher power as well. I get up and speak. But I just like being with the newcomer, because I look at it this way. If they're 1 day sober, I'm 1 day sober, we got the equal amount of time of sobriety. Because yesterday's sobriety is not going to keep you sober. No, it's what you're doing today. Yeah. You can't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow's not here yet. You don't even know what you're going to be worried about.
Yeah.
And an old friend of mine, he's still my sponsor, he's been over 31 years, Jim W., said, if you have 1 foot in yesterday and 1 foot in tomorrow, you piss all over today. And in the beginning, it made a lot of sense, because I was worried about everything, what I had done, who I had harmed, how am I going to pay this bill, what am I doing? But that 1 day at a time, it just paid off. and great. It's paid me back 1,000 times.
Oh yeah,
over and over and over.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And you know, like we're talking to Brendan, like he's our buddies from way back when we all got sober together.
Right.
No, we only know you from this podcast.
From this podcast.
That's it.
Yep.
That's all we know you from.
Yep.
And we were here doing a podcast, and this fucking guy walks up the steps, and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" And we just know you from here. That's
Friends
it.
in Recovery.
Yeah, Friends in Recovery. You walked up,
.com.
and we have so much in common. You know, it's just unbelievable.
It is.
Like we're old friends. You know, it's unbelievable.
Well, when you walk the walk, you know, and it's one thing. But when you talk when you talk the talk, it's one thing. But when you actually do it, when you listen to Brendan right away, you know he's doing this.
Exactly.
He's part of it.
But when you go to meetings, that's what you get at meetings too. And you know, the minute you walk, especially newcomers, like it's the beginners meetings, and this is so important. Why us elder statesmen should be in these beginners meetings, because when they walk in, they want somebody maybe has a couple years, maybe can kind of you know, give them some advice, or at least somebody to listen to when guidance, they, you know, when they ramble on.
You know what really helped me too when I started going to meetings, and if you're getting into meetings and going to meetings, good for you. Keep going. Right.
Meeting makers make it.
Meetings make it. Go 20 minutes early and help set up.
Yes.
It really does help.
Yeah.
And you can talk a little more freely than when we're in a circle, but set up. Volunteer to help some, you know, I don't know any coffee maker that's ever been there and said, you know, when someone else said, "Can I fill the water?" And something, no, I got it. That's my job. But go set up. We always need help setting up chairs. You always need to help. Go a little early. You're going to get more. You'll get
the meeting before the meeting. We call it
before the meeting.
Going on commitments.
Get more out of it. You get more.
Yeah.
I was a young cop when I first got sober. I worked in the city, Lowell. 100,000 people, a little over, a little bit more. And I had more characters in my car going to meetings. I had guys that had done time in Walpole, and I'd see one of my cop buddies. He'd be like, "What the fuck? You know, who did I see you with the other? Were you with Bobby Bridges?" I'm like, "Yeah, Bobby. Did he do time for murder?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's out now.
He's out now, and he's sober.
And he's sober. Right. He's not killing people anymore." You know. But you know what? I learned so much driving to a commitment. It was in Wakefield, Mass. From Lowell to Wakefield, 35-minute ride. We had a meeting on the way down. That's all we talked about. Complained about everything. Go to the meeting. Do an hour and a half. Because back in the day, that's what the meetings were, an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Then the ride home. You know, it was like a 5-hour therapeutic catharsis. You know, everybody was talking, yapping, smoking butts, drinking coffee. And I'd go home and I'd be like, wow, I'd be on top of the world. It felt like I was high. I was on fire, you know? And I miss that. I really do.
And those early days of, and I did a lot of that in early recovery, jumping in a car with somebody you don't even fucking know. You know, we just like, let's go. We went, let's go to this meeting now. Let's go here, go there. I used to go to a meeting in Jamesburg, New Jersey. It was it was like an all-male prison, like really low for like low
security.
Minimum. It was a shithole. Minimum security was a shithole. It was broken down buildings. It was like one of these buildings that you see on these ghost shows on TV. Yeah. It was like that, sitting in there.
Warehouse.
Oh my God, it was insane. But it was one of the best meetings you went to, because when they brought the prisoners in, they were all in their jumpsuits. You were like, holy fuck, man. And it just like kind of perked you up. And I can vividly remember those meetings, going to those meetings. You know, I thank God for those meetings. I never want to be, there. You know what I mean? And the way we were going, we could be, you know.
I mean, we have one of the guys in our meetings, Michael, he goes by Mikeaholic. But one of the nicest guys you've ever met. And, when you start to talk to him, I served, 15 years over here, and I'm sitting there going, this is the nicest guy I ever met. And, has some time, but he's just like me, and he's helping me.
Right.
He's helping me through day to day, and I think of Mike all the time, and I see him. He had to move back to Everett to live with his mom.
Right.
But I see him all the time, and I think about that. Hey, he's just a drunk like me.
Yeah,
exactly. Just
That's it.
One day at a time, and he's a good man. And you know what? If he wasn't drinking, I don't know if he would have been in that situation.
Exactly.
But
I was speaking at a meeting one time on a Sunday night to meet my home group, and I see a guy at the back of the hall, and I'm with my commitment, and I'm a nervous wreck because I'm like probably 4 months sober. Just in Massachusetts, I'm sure it's the same way. AA is AA, but you can't speak from the podium unless you get 90 days.
Yep.
You got to be 90 days sober. So I had been sober a little over 90 days. Anyway, so it's like my second or third time speaking. And I see a guy at the back of the hall, and I go, man, that guy looks like so-and-so who's a professional athlete, hockey player. I'm talking, and I just can't. I'm fixated on this guy because I'm like, is that him? I mean, Well, it turned out it was him.
God.
And at
Was it Derek?
No, no,
Derek?
no.
Because I got another one about Derek.
no, it wasn't him.
Story about Derek.
But this guy is at the back of the hall, and I'm looking, and then, of course, at the break, I go up, and I'm fumbling, and no one's really paying attention to him. And I say, "Are you so and so?" And he's like, he looks at me, he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Oh my God, I'm a big fan," all this. But he was so unconcerned about what I'm talking.
Yeah.
He's like, "So good hearing you." I'm like, really? I don't know what I said, but I'm like, really? No, thank you.
I know you get up there and it shakes the, what do they say? Well, I'm nervous. I'm shaking because it's God shaking the fear out of you, so you can get up there and talk.
And my sponsor used to say, it doesn't matter whether you're from Yale or jail. This program is for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
And I had a sponsor too early on. He had done 9 years for bank robbery, and I can say his name. He's passed away. His name was Lee Grantham. And if you Google Lee, you'll see what I'm talking about. And I would call him. I'd have panic attacks. I'd call him he lived alone, 1, 2 in the morning. I'd be like, "You up?" He'd be like, "Yeah." This is before cell phones. "I can't sleep. I'm afraid I'm not going to make it." And he'd tell me how when he was in Walpole, which is a real
that's maximum security.
Yeah.
And how he was a young kid and he had fears and all this, and I'd really listen to him. Look, I'd just be really tuned in. I'd be sitting in a dark room, shaking, afraid to go to sleep because I didn't think I was going to wake up. But here it is. Here's a guy who did all these years in jail. Here's a young cop just, trying to get his life together. And we bonded so well. I became his payee representative for Social Security. He ended up going out over and over and over again, but I was always there. His checks would come to me. I'd deposit them. He'd be gone for 3 months. I wouldn't even know where he was. He'd show up at my door with another guy. They'd be out. He'd say, "Hey, can I get some dough?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on in. What's going on? Where you been?" I've been snowbirding. I'm like, "What's that?" He goes, "Oh, down in Florida." I goes, "What about your money?" He goes, "Oh, I must have what, 3 months? Yeah, I'll take some with me." I said, "Oh, good. Go to the bank, get the money." He ended up passing away, and I got a call from the coroner in Boston. My name was in his wallet in case, and called me up. He's buried. It's sad, but he's buried in a pauper's grave, but my point is, I met so many people. My old friends, the people my acquaintances, not that there was anything wrong with them, but they were gone. Mm-hmm. The people that I'd be half cocked with saying, I love you, you're like a brother, you're the best.
Yeah, sitting at the bar stool hugging.
Right,
right.
Yeah. But all of a sudden I get people that really cared. And it was women. It was a woman who lost her 2 sons. They both hung themselves within like 2 years apart. At a meeting, listened to that, and I'm like, geez, what an incredible story, And then this woman to this day, she's sober 44 years.
Wow.
44 years.
Wow. It's funny how we come from all strokes of life and how we all, we all know somebody who's either been in jail or whatever. And it's amazing how we'd sit here and talk about this and give this advice to other people that need it. You know what I mean? And listen, I'm taking this in too. You guys, sitting here before, after, when I see you, when I walk to the bathroom and come back and I see you there, I'm like, it's nice just to say hi and know that you're there.
Right.
It's always nice that we have somebody around. You know what I mean? That's there. Or I can call Mike up and say hello and
I'm looking at the clock. I think we're gonna have to wrap this up in a minute. But before we do, I'd like to do this and give Brendan a chance and yourself, Ed. Is what advice would you give anybody who's listening to our podcast today, Friends in Recovery podcast today? What advice would you give somebody who's listening, who wants help, who doesn't know how to get help, might have an alcohol problem, might just have a drug problem, might have both, might be suicidal, might be majorly depressed? So let's give somebody a few tidbits before we sign off here.
Good, Brendan.
How we've been talking about for me, we say take it one day at a time, take it one day at a time. Anticipation of doing, going to somewhere, going to a meeting, for me, anticipation of going to a barbecue, not drinking was worse than going itself.
Right.
Once you get there and once you leave, every time I leave an AA meeting, there's a sense of accomplishment. I did it. Yeah. I did it. just make the first step. Try it. I mean, once you get in this program, the friends that come. You think you have friends in a bar room? Right. The friends that you that aren't in bar rooms come out of the woodwork. You'll have more friends than you'll ever think. And I sat there and heard that in my first couple of AA meetings and said, bullshit. It doesn't work. I'm the one that said it. Bullshit. This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. It works. It really, the program works if you work it. And I hate all these cliches and all that bullshit. But it does work. You got to get out there, talk to your friends. I mean, everyone probably knows someone that's in recovery. I mean,
especially now.
A friend of a family of a friend of a, and I don't know anyone that's in recovery that if someone goes up and says, "Hey, I need some help," I don't know one person that would say, "Not, you know what? I'm major busy right now with a bunch of other people, a bunch of other drugs." People help. People in recovery want to help others in recovery
because it helps them.
Just take the first step. I remember, you know, hey, I was still drinking. I was still a drunk when I knew I was powerless over alcohol. I was still drinking and I knew it, and I was down and down. And then finally my family came into me and said, hey, enough's enough. And I said, I was sitting there with 19 staples in my head after I fell down the flight of stairs and I was almost dead 2 days later. But I said, all right. You're right. And they're like, no, we want to talk to you. You got to quit drinking. I said, no, you're right. You're right. And then once I got over that step,
the surrender,
the surrender, your friends will come out of the woodwork. Trust me. Trust me. They come out.
Good advice. Good advice.
And I think, Mike, that the best thing that I can say, and I did it, you know, I hated hearing one day at a time. It's fucking bullshit, man. Oh, I can't handle this.
Meeting makers.
Listen, I can't get through 10 minutes of the day. You know, so my one sponsor would say, take it 1 minute at a time. You know, don't worry about, like you said, Mike, one foot in the past and 1 foot in the future you're pissing on today.
That's right.
I love that because that's what I always did. I'm always worrying about, well, did I piss them off or am I going to piss this one off or whatever? But if we break it down to 1 minute at a time, guys, and this is for the newcomers and anybody, you know, even us older guys who's been around for a while, if we take it 1 minute at a time or 1 day at a time or however you want to do it, you're going to get through it. You know, you don't put that pressure on yourself. You don't have to, you know, keep worrying about what's going to happen next or who, you know, what do I say to this or how do I say to that one? You know what I mean?
In one of my first meetings, one of the elder statesmen said, he said, for years and years, I threw bricks over this shoulder. It was the bad shoulder, right? And he says, now, 1 day at a time, I just throw a brick over this shoulder. And he said, you know, I was uneven. And you get back to even keel.
It takes a while.
It takes a while, but you can get back to even keel. And just keep throwing bricks over that shoulder.
The other shoulder, exactly.
You know, Hey, Ed Sullivan.
Real quick, Mike, before we go, I know we're going to wind down here. I was speaking to Brian Casey.
Oh, yeah. How's he doing?
Brian Casey's doing very good. I just want to mention his book, Good Cop, Good Cop. If you go to...
Great book. I was just looking at it today. I was reading it today.
Yeah. If you go to goodcopgoodcop.com, order his book. Actually, he's going to be our next guest on the show.
He's been a guest on the show before.
No, Brian has not.
He called in.
Yeah, he did.
He did. Okay.
FaceTime with him.
You know better.
Yeah, we
watch
did.
all the shows.
He did.
Okay.
He did.
And he's going to be actually here.
Yep.
He's going to be promoting his book, and he wants to come on. And and he's a great guy.
Minnesota, right?
He is St. Paul,
Minneapolis.
St. Paul Police,
right.
EAP.
Right.
He helps a lot of good guys.
Yeah. We had him as a guest.
Yep.
Very good, Brendan.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The book was here.
That's right. I got it off my car.
Good God, Jesus. So,
Thanks, Ed.
But I think we're. That's about it. Remember Genesis House.
Don't forget Genesis House.
737-0933. We couldn't make this happen without Genesis House.
Thank you, Taylor.
Yep. Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you for all having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Brendan. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great.
Jersey Ed.
Mike, Podfather. Thank you, guys. Till next time, everybody stay sober.
Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.